with this video, whether it's going to be inserted into the jumper video that I was just working on, or if I'm going to create a completely different video. With that in mind, I'm going to go ahead and say this is Laurie of Laurie's Sewing, and currently during the month of August, sew and sew. I have been making totes because the state of Washington will be banning plastic bags until the end of time, I assume, beginning October the 1st of 2021. Today is Wednesday, August the 11th of 2021. So I have half of August, September, which is kind of a short month, and then boom, there you have it, plastic bag ban, which we don't really use plastic bags that much in our house. But I feel like we're going to really need some tote bags. I need some in my vehicle. My husband needs some in his vehicle. And then of course I have friends and other family members that I need to make some tote bags for. So last weekend I cut up some old jeans that I'm not wearing and won't wear, and I was going to donate, but then I thought, you know, rather than spending the time and gas to drive these to Goodwill, it was 2 pair, I could just cut these up and use them as tote bag fabric. So last week's was this one, and these 2 things were cut from that fabric as well as this. So I basically used up almost all of it, and then I have this fabric here. So today I'm thinking what I'm going to do is make a darker one. I'll set this fabric aside, probably end up using some of this in the process. I don't know 100% for sure if I will. I think I'm going to go ahead and use both of these. I found the pocket on the one that I made last weekend to be absolutely very valuable, so I'm going to go ahead and just use both of those. And I have quite a lot of just pieces of fabric here that I can resection into a tote bag style somehow. I loved the fact that the fabric I used from the other pair of jeans worked like I thought it would, which was that having the fabric stretch, this direction, west to east, this way, instead of this way, I was able to put more in the bag, and I didn't have it stretching down and then sort of becoming more narrow as it stretched this way. This just allowed, having it stretch outward, allowed for a little bit more stuff to be put in there. So that's what I'm going to do. This fabric has that stretch. I don't know if they use spandex or lycra or what it is, but the stretch goes this direction, not this direction. There is very little stretch this way. So the pieces need to be oriented this way so that the stretch is like this. Okay, so if I wanted to attach them this way, that would work. Okay. Now, one of the things that I had thought about doing the last time that I might do this time is, this fabric is so cute. Where's my thread catcher? There it is. So I use this to catch thread, like so. And when it's full, which it's happened several times, I use the thread to stuff into a either a pincushion or a pillow or anything that needs filling, I can use my thread. It's very soft and it works quite well. I'm thinking I might do this. So my thoughts were last time that it would be really cute to have just a strip of fabric, like this would be stitched like that. I need to kind of visualize it in my head. I'm not sure. If you've been following me for a while, you know that when I make a tote out of reclaimed fabric, I don't stress over the details. It's just too much. It's too much fun to make one of these to have it be all stressy, and I'm not planning to enter it into a contest where I might win something. It's just a way for me to carry my groceries. So I'm not going to get whipped out of shape when things aren't perfect. So this is a really dark side. This is the right side of the fabric. This is what was on the outside of the jeans. But the inside is this gorgeous dark, deep dark color. So I think I'm going to use this as the outside, at least on some of the pieces. I took out the jeans needle. Actually, I'm going to put that one back in. Okay, so I have written ×1 on this box, and that means I've used this needle one time to make one tote out of blue jeans. So I feel confident that I can use it again. It did just fine, and I don't feel any burrs or other damage to this needle, so I'm not at all concerned. I need to rethread my machine. And of course I will not be using that hideous thread. Oh boy, that hideous thread that I used the last time. This is Gutermann. Now, this needle is specific for sewing jeans with denim. It is a 116 needle, maybe right there. I purchased it at Joann, oh, so many years ago. Alright, so one of the things that I don't want to do when I'm making a tote is line it. Now this is for groceries. The reason I don't want to line it is I feel like it's a waste of fabric under the circumstances. This is essentially a grocery bag, and I don't want to use up all my fabric creating a lining for something that is going to be used in that manner. I also don't want a whole bunch of raw edges on the inside. So on the last tote that I made, I took big, wide seam allowances and I folded those under and then sort of basically top stitched from up here. So on this one, I think I will just stitch these down. And they may fray, but I'm going to use a zigzag stitch to kind of help hold that in place. Okay. So there we have a little outside decorative stitch that is holding this down on the inside. So here's a pocket, and I did discover I don't need to save the fabric that's here, but I also don't have to waste it. So what I did is I just cut up right to the pocket edge like that. I am going to trim this down so it's not visible. Just a little behind my pocket, like so. This is just good cabbage. Okay. And then I'm going to take, let's go with some stripes. I have folded down, and I could fold it under again if I wanted to make sure I wouldn't have raw edges. And I have put the raw edge of this piece of fabric up next to the top edge of the pocket. And I'm going to stitch it down just using whatever seam allowance. One thing you want to make sure of before you start doing any of this is that you're not sewing over metal rivets. Good thing I checked. All right, so I'm going to roll. Maybe I'll just get another bobbin. Oh, perfect. Yeah, let's use this red one. I like that. All right, now with this, I am going to flip this over the top and turn it under and wrap it over the top. I don't want raw edges, but I do want a cute little pocket top. So finger press, just ever how much. This is like a whatever you feel like doing kind of sewing project. And I want that red thread on the front, so I'm going to see if I can get my sewing machine to do that. And just be kind when you're going over a big bump like this edge right here. Just slowly stitch. You don't have to go really fast. I'm just gonna ziggy-zaggy. Okay, so this is the thing about grocery totes that you are making from your stash, from your closet, whatever you happen to have. They don't have to be boring. I mean, this is too cute. So I'm going to put a pocket probably on one of these. All right. Okay, now before I stitch this into a bag, that needs to be stitched down, but I also have to decide where I want to put the pocket. And I would say at this point that it is, while it doesn't appear to be damaged, it is. So I'll have to replace it, check my machine out, dispose of this, and I always try to dispose of them in a container like this. Okay, so I'm going to go through my needles again and see if I have something that I feel like will work well with the thread, or excuse me, the thick fabric I have. See, these are quite strong. This is a 120/19 wing, and I know it would go through these thick, really thick pocket parts. So I may actually use this. It has a blade. I don't know if you've ever seen a wing needle before, but let's see if I can get it to focus. There, maybe that'll help. It's like a blade that cuts through the fabric. It's no guarantee that it will indeed work, but we're going to give it a go just to see. Let me put all this mess back. There we go. Okay, I need to put the plate back. Click it into place. Lift the feed dogs. Okay, they're lifted. Put in this bobbin. And rethread my sewing machine. And then you thread this wing needle exactly the same way that you would thread just a regular needle. Let me take a picture so you can see. Now it does cut the fabric, so if you are stitching on thin fabric, you'll get a lovely design. Okay, now what I plan to do, since I can't actually stitch this down, is I'm just going to leave it the way it is, but I'll show you. Alright, so I'm at that spot where it's just too thick to go through. So I'm going to turn this way and just stitch, and then back up. And let that be that. It will hold it in place. This will just be a little loose. That's not going to be an issue. Okay, and if I don't care for that, if for some reason it doesn't work, but I think it will, but if it just doesn't work having this side open, I don't really want to risk damaging my sewing machine, so I'm not going to worry about it. I won't use the pocket. Okay. Yeah, I think that'll be just fine. I'm going to have to do a little stitch right here. I didn't realize that wasn't catching. And things could fall in between if I don't take care of it. So this might be an opportunity for some decorative stitch. I think we'll use this one with a wing needle. That is too cute. Okay. So what happened is I had that piece of fabric on the back that was the original part of the pocket, and I had cut it down. I think you can kind of see right there. Right there. I had cut that down. Well, that was forming its own little inside pocket, and I was afraid I might get something stuck in between these two, the actual pocket and then that weird little extra pocket. So I just did a little decorative stitch right there, which I think is absolutely precious. Okay. What happens with a ballpoint needle is it's rounded, just like you would imagine the way the word is ballpoint. It's got a little rounded tip. It's not sharp on the end like a sharp needle. It is rounded, and instead of piercing through the fabric, it pushes the fabric fibers out of its way. And that might work well on this weird stretchy denim jean fabric. Denim, I like that word. I think I'll use it. This is denim fabric. Okay. Now, this is so weird. I keep seeing a truck drive by my house that looks like my truck. But it's not my truck. It's just I haven't seen one in the neighborhood like my truck till today. Yep, I don't see any issues. Okay, so now what I want to do, I've got my pocket, I've got these cute little sides, and depending on where I want the pocket, that will determine where the ant fabric, the Stitch and Sparkle fabric goes. So if I want it like so, I can do that. Or I can move the pocket to the center and have one of the Stitch and Sparkle fabrics on the front and one of the Stitch and Sparkle fabrics on the back. That might be what I do. Let's see if I slit it just a little bit more. That's actually kind of cute. Alrighty, so what I need to do is turn this back to the wrong side and making sure that I have it where I want it. If this is a side seam and this is a side seam, they're actually folds. I'm going to square it up. this down here would be the bottom. And what I'm going to do is cut, because if I stitch it then I lose some of the width. So let's pin this. Actually, let's clip this along this side. And you realize the only reason this is posing an issue for me is because there isn't a side seam. I don't have something to line up against. I have to have a seam or some way of keeping those boxed bottom edges straight. So I'd have to have either clips or a stitch, something. This should hold it nice. Yeah, okay. Nicely done. So the next thing I'm going to do is take my ruler and a piece of chalk, and I'm going to measure a 2-inch boxed bottom. So I'm going to mark. Then you will have a 4-inch width bottom on your bag. Okay, now I'm going to stitch right across the bottom. With a straight stitch. I am going to use 2.5-inch stitch length. And I'm aware I still have that ballpoint 1914 needle in my machine. Okay. Now I am going to zigzag across this bottom edge. And the way you do this is just hold it up like this, and then you've got a cut corner on the inside here and a cut corner on the inside here, and we just want to pull these away from each other, just like that. And we're going to take the folded edge of the fabric. In my case, it would be a side seam if you had stitched 2 pieces of fabric together there. And the bottom seam, we're going to line those up. So we want that side seam and the bottom lined up, and we're going to pull these corners out away from each other, and we're going to stitch. Now I need to move this. Well, there we go. Just keep that folded edge. It's probably easier if you've not done a boxed bottom before, if you have a side seam. All right. And you definitely want to lock your stitches. So on this end, I'm going to back up, stitch across, and back up again at the other end. And now I can remove these clips. I don't need them anymore. Flip the bag right side out. Push these corners. And now let's just measure and see what we ended up with. There's the boxed bottom corner. It may be a slightly smaller because when we stitched across that bottom, to make the bottom seam, we will lose some of that boxed bottom edge. The only way to ensure that you don't is to sew the seam, then measure your 2 inches. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, I have 4 and a little over. The reason I have 4 and a little over is because my fabric is stretchy. But I think it is absolutely adorable so far. So there it is. I have a good amount of space on the inside. This is one side right here. This is the other side right here. How cute is this? So now all I have to do is make the top and the handles. And I can make the top simply by folding this down and stitching it. And then I'm going to use this to make my handles. I think that's absolutely appropriate. I don't really want to use another print. I do have the little fox right here, but even if I wanted to use that print, I don't really have a whole lot of it. I do have this print, which to me just says boho, so I'm going to use it for another bag. So I think I will just stitch this under. Do I want to face it? I'm going to probably need, because it's so stretchy, I'm going to need to either face it with a woven fabric or use some interfacing. And I don't have enough of this. Oh, yes I do. Yes, I do have enough of this. And that will keep it from stretching out. Alright. It just gives it a kind of a designy element that you can use. Okay, so I have the bag done. Now all I have to do is make the handles. But I'm going to take a break. I need to go put that fabric in the dryer, get that taken care of, and when I come back I'll put the handles on this and we'll look at the jumper fabric. It turned out really, really cute. So here it is. Very big on the inside for lots and lots of groceries. And very cute, oops, very cute on the outside, so you don't mind carrying it. And of course, again, when you're getting ready to go, you can just fold it up and pop it in your purse or bag, or I wonder if it would fit. Probably not. I just had a thought for half a second. Be too fiddly for me. I know I wouldn't do it, but I was wondering about, well, somehow sticking it in its own pocket. But this is perfect, just like this. This will fit easily in a bag or another tote. So you might remember that this is the bag that I made myself from McCall's 5822, I think it is. 5822? Something like that. It has a front pocket. Look at this. Wow. Just fits right in there. How neat is that? That's pretty awesome. But I also have this tote that I just made recently. Used it at Trader Joe's. It held a large number of items. And I think, let's see, its pocket is back here. It's really nice. And it also folds up quite small. I mean, that's hardly any space at all right there. Both of these are washable. I would have to remove this, but it's just a pin. It's a simple, I don't have to unstitch anything, in other words. This just unhooks right here, and these come off. Now, I did stitch these together, so they're not going to come apart if the pin comes off. They're all together, and they would look cute on this one as well. I've got the little fox anyway, so I could put this somewhere if I wanted to. But I think, as much as I like having it there, it might be, as I was thinking about it, it might be kind of a potential draw. Someone might be attracted to the bag. So while you're shopping, you know, if you've got your bag visible somewhere, this might be kind of a bad idea. I'm not sure, but they're fun, and I like to use them to decorate things, whether I use it with or without the little fabric pieces. But anyway, so let's just leave that off and fold this up. And now I have two tote bags out of fabric from my closet and fabric from my stash, which is dwindling, which I think is a great idea. And they all fit perfectly in my big grocery shopping tote bag. Oops, I caught it on the edge there. Alright, so there we go. They're in there, all my stuff is in there, and they're really not that heavy. They don't add any additional weight. So there you go. Alright, so the fabric for the jumper is in the dryer. I am going to go get it. Now, I don't know if this video will be inserted into that video. I have no idea how I'm going to do this. But whatever the case may be, I'm going to go grab that fabric, and there may be another video that I will link below. So I always try to remember, I have been for a while now, linking my last video in the description box below the video that I'm currently talking in.